Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Today is Saturday, February 9th. Welcome to our Contract Trust Conference Call. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We are not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice, and should you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. And as I said a few moments ago, we do apparently have a few people with their hands up now, so let's get started there today. Wireless caller, area code 847.
Hi, Carol. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Who's this?
Okay, this is Bob from Michigan.
Hi, Bob.
I just wanted to ask you, on a previous call, and I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before that, when you were talking about what we need for exchange, you mentioned 2 photo IDs.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have it, or most of us have driver's licenses or something, but the only other thing I can think of is a passport other than, like a worker's ID. What else is there? I mean,
From what I have heard on other calls, yes, passport, absolutely. I have heard that they will probably accept even a Costco card or something like that.
I've heard that too, Carol.
Yeah, and other people have been taking a photograph and having it laminated to some kind of an ID.
That's real secure.
Yeah, I agree. But at least they can match the photo with your face, I guess.
Okay.
That's all I've heard that some people are doing. And apparently, it's whoever is in charge thinks it's going to be acceptable. But I think you're safest with a driver's license and a passport.
But the other thing you can do is the state will issue just a state ID, not a driver's license, but it's state ID.
But that's the same as a driver's license, correct?
No,
but
it's not.
Isn't it issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles?
It is issued by the DMV, but it's not a DMV. It's a state ID. Here in Oregon, it doesn't say DMV on it.
It's a state ID here in Virginia as well, independent of your driver's license.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that was it. Thank you. Look forward to the show.
All right, thank you. And it looks like we've got one more caller, area code 810.
Hello?
Hello, area code 810. We can hear you.
Okay, yes, from Michigan.
Yes.
Thomas, yes.
Hi.
I am pondering I want to do this trust. Can you reassure me that this, I know I need a trust dealing with the currency. Give me something that can get $1,500 out of my pocket for this trust.
Well, I suggest you listen to our call. We've been doing this for a long, long time. We have a trust that has been tested all the way up to the Supreme Court. It allows you to be your own trustee, and it gives you much more asset protection and flexibility than anything else out there that I have seen. Jim, would you like to comment on that?
Sure, thank you. Not only that, in 1997, Jake and Carol put together a trust and wanted to get it converted to a nonprofit. So they sent the whole trust into the Internal Revenue Service, and within just a few months it was approved. And it's been active since 1997 as a 501c3 cast-in trust form instead of corporate form. So not only has it been vetted at the Ninth Circuit, and the IRS says, no, we don't like that decision, so they remanded to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court reviewed the trust, reviewed the case, remanded back to the Ninth, says, we agree with the Ninth, go away. And since then, they've been pretty good working with us, and they actually allowed us to have a 501c3 cast in that form, which I don't know if anybody else has done that. They may, but not that I know of. So it has been vetted with the government. They don't have a problem. We've got over, I'm going to just take a wild and guess and say we have over 500 bank accounts with the various banks.
I would agree with that. At least that many, yeah. At least.
Yeah. I just opened one the other day with an abstract for getting ready for the RV, and I walked into the abstract and the CP 575, which is the IRS receipt, basically, for your EIN. And within 20 minutes, I had walked out of there. So I've got multiple trusts accounts at Wells Fargo. They have no problem.
As do I.
And,
As do I.
Yeah. So it seems to be working real well. I don't think there's going to be any major changes that would cause it not to work. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be the strongest document out there because the Supreme Court has ruled, and the Ninth Circuit has ruled that this is a valid entity. So after the fact, when we get to a position where they're starting to vet some of these revocable trusts stuff as being statutory and not anywhere near a common law trust, we may be the only group standing after they start changing everything. We don't know. We're hoping.
We are common law to begin with, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're saying once the government is back, once the people are back in control of the government, this trust may be the only one standing.
Well, it could be, because if you consider the fact that most of these trusts are built in statutory, admiralty, maritime law, that's all going away. That's all going away.
Okay.
And ours is cast as a common law trust, and everything in it is based on that. And since it's simply a contract, this trust is a contract cast in trust form. So we've got that power behind us, too, because the Constitution allows us to contract. And so it's just all of the dominoes fall in our direction when you start looking at all the details. And I can't say that about any other entity, any other trust. Now, I've been doing this for 30 years plus, and I've looked at a lot of trusts. I have people bringing me trusts all the time. Well, what's this like? Well, this is something you really don't want to use, but in my opinion, and usually they're full of bullet holes. I mean, they've just been shot all to pieces. Yeah. But that's, everybody's got their own comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when you've been burned as many times as I have, and this is very hard when I can't see you, when I can't sit across from you, you know, to just send that $1,500 out for the trust. I know I need a trust, even though it's not a lot of money that I'm going to have, but I need to protect the money for my children. You know, that's the whole thing.
I agree with that, and I wholeheartedly respect that. I'm not going to say ask a question. Let me just say it this way. If you get a revocable trust, there's a couple out there right now that people are saying, ours is the only one that's going to work. Well, that's interesting because they say ours is the only one that's been approved. Approved by who? They've not been able to answer that question. Well, we've got over 500 bank accounts. We've been to the Supreme Court. We have a 501c3 that's actually up and running right now, and it's been running for 11 years.
Okay.
We got the legs behind us.
How about 22?
Pardon me?
22 years, 1997.
Well, you're right. I'm not good at math, okay? I got math. So, anyway, it's been around, and we've never had an issue. And, frankly, let me tell you a little quick story. I met Jay and Carol in 97, and they were my competition. And we joined ventures, and we realized that between what I had already done and what they had, we had a good team, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Okay. One more question. There's some things that I want to do. There's some people I want to help, and I think once I get the money, once the money's in the trust, then actually I've lost control of the money. I just manage the money for the trust. How do I buy precious metals? How do I do things for my family, like giving family members money? How do I get the money out of the trust? Or should I not put that money in the trust and do it outside the trust?
Carol, go ahead.
Jim, you go ahead.
All right. Well, it's simple. The trust has a right to buy anything. You're the custodian because you don't own it anymore. You are the ultimate power in that trust. And since you are the trustee and you will have a board of trustees, which can consist of a single trustee as far as that goes, you have the ultimate say, and you've taken a pledge when you signed on this thing to do nothing but good things with that money and good things for that trust. You have a responsibility to make right decisions. And so when you decide you want to buy precious metal for the trust, just buy it. It's in the trust name. Just buy it. Put it in the trust. Buy the gold, buy the silver, buy the diamonds, whatever you're going to buy. Cars, houses, trusts. But remember, each trust has to have, let's put it this way. If you have a house, it needs to be in one trust. One house, one trust. One car, one trust.
Right. Now, I understand that.
Okay, when you create the next trust for the other people, your sons, daughters, and friends, you're simply going to create a trust, and you're going to fund that trust from this trust, from your primary trust, your mother-lode trust. You're going to be a trustee on that one also temporarily, and then you don't have to, but I would suggest it because you're going to have to teach them how to operate it. And then as they become educated and you trust that they are going to operate the trust properly, then you can resign as trustee and they take over. That's how I'm doing. I have a lot of people I'm going to benefit. So I've got, 14 or 15 that I'm going to benefit. And so I'm going to create the mother-lode trust when I go to the bank. And then after I get through with my wealth manager, I'll go back and I'll create some other trusts. And I'll be the trustee on every one of those. And I will put the money in those trusts. And then I'll bring them in as a co-trustee. And when I'm confident that they can manage this and don't go stupid with the money, then I will resign. That may be a year or two down the road because I'm not going to let them go out and buy, Ferraris and airplanes and yachts with the money. That's not what this is about. So you'll be able to control it. Even though you don't own it, you have 100% control. And that's what the wealthy people do. They own nothing. They control massive amounts of stuff, but they own nothing.
Okay.
And by giving money out the way Jim just described through separate trusts, you also eliminate any chance of gift tax. So right now the gift tax is currently $15,000 per person per year, but if you want to give your nephew John $25,000, you can fund a trust with that same $25,000 and it's tax-free, totally tax-free.
And then he can take the money from the trust.
Well, he can do whatever you and he decide he should do with it.
Okay. Remember, he's just a trustee. He doesn't own it, so he's got to do what the parameters of the trust allow him to do, which is virtually anything. But don't let him put a car in that trust.
Right. I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Thomas?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great question.
Yeah, it was. One more before we get started here. Good morning, Rob. How are you doing today?
Great. Am I on, Carol?
You are. I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Super. I just want to say that these two, Carol and Jim, are beyond fantastic.
Thank
you. I trust, speaking about trust you tremendously, both of you. And I can't imagine doing a trust with anybody else. And I just feel so confident. And you guys go out of your way to help each and every one of us. And I was concerned at the beginning because I've been burnt beyond what most people can imagine. So to this gentleman, I just highly recommend this trust and you and Jim.
Thank you. That's very well. This just makes my heart warm. I'm overwhelmed. I'm absolutely overwhelmed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, both of you. If I could give you a hug, I would definitely give you a big hug to both of you.
Thank you. That is very sweet. I appreciate that very much. All right, and we do have one more wireless caller.
Well, before you take the wireless caller, how much did you pay him to say that?
That's what I was going to say, Carol. And Jim, you guys are going to get big heads with all these compliments. It's Connie in sunny Sarasota. And Jim, did you go and change the website address? You had mentioned you were working on it a couple weeks ago, and I was just wanting an update and heads up on what's transpiring.
Well, thank you. It's in the process. We actually have the server up and running. We have
my ex-business partner has come online to work with me. We're the best of friends, and he's a guru extraordinaire when it comes to this stuff, and he's working out full-time with us getting this thing converted. He'll be here in a couple hours. We're not quite there yet. We've had a couple issues, minor issues, and it was mostly in timing. I'm estimating that they'll be up and done by Sunday night. We'll have them moved over. The server is working. The virtual terminal server is the next thing we're working on, where we can put all of our forms and everything, and we're working on that. We bought the software. We've got we tested it yesterday, and we have the mini computers, and we tested those yesterday. Everything worked perfectly. It's just a matter now of a little bit of a rollout time, and then start shipping the new systems to our worker bees that we've got set up to help us. And I'm thinking probably by Sunday night. We're going to try and do it Sunday evening late, so it takes about 2 to 6 hours for it to populate through the internet. And if we do it during the day and somebody wants it on in the evening, it may not be available, and they'll think, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" So we want to do it at night. That's kind of where we're at right now. We're just hours really away from getting it finished.
And it's going to be totally transparent to our members. Is that correct, Jim?
Oh yeah, passwords, everything will stay the same. Nothing's going to change. I'm actually have software that takes and captures the whole thing, the database, the website. I mean everything. So it's a complete 100% clone, and then I just take the clone and drop it on the server. When it goes live, I test it internally. When it's working perfectly, it has always worked well. I've used this software many times for my clients moving their websites around. And then what happens, I just change the DNS settings, and then within a couple hours, you're looking at it on the new server. And then on the old server, I just delete it off there once it's functioning 100%, which I think it's going to function 100% right out of the box, because we've never had an issue with this software.
That's awesome. Okay, so can you refresh my memory? What is our website? I do still have my password and all. Indicatorinformation.com. Now, while we're talking about that, I highly recommend everybody buying or at least getting the free version of RoboForm. I use it. I manage so many websites, and I'm trying to get out of that business, but I manage so many passwords, over 350 passwords, and there's no way I can remember those things. And then if you try to do it manually, you got to have a spreadsheet, then you got to go find it. It takes forever. Then you got to type it in, or you got to cut and paste. With RoboForm, is you just open RoboForm. It's attached to your browser. You hit the master password, because it does shut down after a few hours, and you put your master password in there. Then you go and you scroll down and you find the name of the website you want to go to. You click on it. It goes to the login page, loads your username, loads your password, and then logs you in automatically.
Yes. And what's cool about this also is it's connected to your browser. So if you're traveling, like I was during the holidays, all you have to do is log on to RoboForm, and all of your passwords are there.
Yeah. It's called RoboForm Anywhere. Or everywhere. RoboForm everywhere. And it's cloud-based, and you can turn that on and off. I have mine off, but when I get ready to travel, I turn it back on, and then I sync it. And then once it's done, I travel. When I get back, I unsync it. And for my security issues, I delete everything off of there. And then I don't have it out in the cloud. That's just how I do things. And then when I get ready to travel again, I just activate it and then upload or sync it to the cloud, and then I travel with it. I use it on my phone, I use it on my laptop, I use it on my home computer, my business computer, all of them.
Yeah.
And you get
I have an address book. It's an alphabetical address book with the little index things on the side, and I keep all my passwords in there too. And Robo is great, but when the electricity's down or anything happens, my address book is a backup, and I can say to the bank, oh, look, I know this is my password. This is what I wrote down, and I don't know what you've done to change the program, but
yeah, they do that all the time.
So I have a record of it.
Well, what I do is you can actually download all of your usernames, passwords, and URLs into Excel spreadsheet off of RoboForm. So I do that well, once every few months, and I just archive it. But the website will be up and running. That will be the first one. We'll get the website up and running right away. I'm cutting back from the 37 websites down to 9.
Awesome.
You're going to be so
great.
poor, Jim.
What?
Carol, have you found any bio that you thought was decent to kind of be template standard for folks to take to the bank?
I wrote one. Let me go through it again and see if we can
Email it.
Yeah, and make it something that everybody can maybe like a template. Let me see what I can do.
And we can put it on the website too.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's great. Yeah, I've been working on mine, so if you could, that would be really good because I want to know if I'm doing the right thing or not.
Yeah, we'll come up with some kind of a template. That's a really good suggestion. Thank you.
And thank you, dear. And you all have an awesome weekend. And Jim, I pray there's no glitches and it'll be very cut and dry and straightforward as you're working on your server, dear.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're hoping to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I got a backup team. John's our backup guy. Now he's working full time, and so between the two of us, we'll figure out whatever goes wrong. We've never had an issue with this software, and I don't think we will. I did a test. I did move my personal site over to the server. Worked perfectly, so I think it's going to be fine.
Awesome. And we expect that to happen Sunday night for you, too. And we appreciate you all, and have an awesome, smooth weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Connie.
You're welcome, dear.
Take care. Let's see. We do have another one here. Area code 801.
Yes, Carol and Jim, this is Mark Chavez.
Hi, Mark.
I was talking about you a little while ago. I'm glad you didn't hear it. It was pretty bad.
Well, if that's the case, then you're glad I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
The circumstances are that I've been working on a house project and had a glitch of my own, and so now I'm at a place where I can stop, and that's why I joined the call. Do you want to address the subject that I brought up with you, Jim?
Yeah, I was telling Carol that I was going to try and ask you to come in and talk about it, so why don't you go ahead and take it?
All right. I have been looking at and contemplating which way to go on filing taxes for the trust, and I know that it requires a 1041, which is for businesses, for trusts, and there's another product that actually uses that particular form. However, just to be clear, I'm not a CPA and I'm not a tax person, other than I have done my own, and I'm up on it, but I would recommend, no matter what I say, that everyone maybe verify it with their own personal tax consultant or CPA. So with that being said, moving forward I have been contemplating what to do about filing a tax return for the trust when, in fact, the trust it's not been funded and it's not really had any activity. There may be things that have purchased, but who has purchased that has been the trustee on behalf of the trust at this point in time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So now what I believe will function, and I am in the process of getting even more details on this, but all of this makes IRS sense in my view. And that is, at the point in time that see what right now we're in the tax season for 2018. No, I haven't funded my trust yet. I have activity, but I don't have any of things that have been done, like the post office box, other things like that, but I have not it's not been funded, so it doesn't have money in its own account to actually pay those bills. So what it looks like is the most reasonable and the most common sense is that the trustee, at the time that the trust is funded, then bills the trust with a an itemized bill for all the things that the trustee has paid for and allows the trust to pay the trustee back, which I don't believe will cause any kind of tax event because it's just reimbursement. But in that year, I believe that's the year that the trust can then file for those things that it wasn't able to file before because it didn't actually make the purchase or pay that particular bill. Does that make reasonable sense to anybody else?
Perfect.
Yeah, you can actually take it a step further and do a promissory note from the trust back to you for every expense. So you make every time you have an expense, you write a little one-paragraph promissory note, and you sign it as a trustee, and you date it, and you put it in the book. And then when you finally get funds, you've got all the promissory notes that are now paid back to you from the trust with or without interest.
Right. But I believe because the expenditure that the trust is making is then taken in the actual year it pays it, not when the trustee paid it, because essentially, and lack of better terms, I, as the trustee of my trust, am floating the trust at this point in time in the same manner that you just said, in a promissory type of manner. I'm paying for that in advance with the idea that I will be paid back at some point in the future.
That's great. And also include the cost of the trust.
Correct.
Yeah.
You write a promissory note about the cost of the trust because you paid for it, and then the trust
Correct.
will pay you back. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that was what I brought up to Jim yesterday, and he said, "Oh, you better be on the call." And I went, "Okay, I'll do my best," but because I knew I'd be locked in this situation, but I got in before it was too late. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing is we want people to participate because we're not experts, and then you bring things to the table, and then other people start bringing things to the table. Then it's kind of like a community
exactly
round table where we all get great ideas because
now
we've not figured out everything, but we've got a lot of things figured out.
I have run this by a tax consultant who is looking to maybe run it up the flagpole, if you will, in a round table of other tax consultants to make sure. But all of this, the answer I got back immediately was my gut tells me that that's the way it works. That's the way it will work the best.
Well, I think you're right on. That's the way I've been doing mine. I mean, everything I spend, I get a little note. I put it in the trust book. I have a whole bunch of trust books, and eventually, each one of the trusts going to owe me for the expenses and rent, charging rent.
Right.
So, yeah.
Makes total sense to me. And at that point, by generating that invoice or itemized bill, that makes it so that it's just reimbursement and it's not a taxable event. You're not taking it as some kind of a payment for managing it, if you will.
Yeah, I have a Quicken file that I use for all that stuff. And then I just print it out, put it in the file. So,
all right.
Yeah, you're right on. I think that you're absolutely correct.
Okay. I think so too, but again, for anyone out there who's listening who wants to then say, "Oh yeah, I heard Mark say this," or "I heard Jim say," we're not tax people at all, so it's simply just straightforward. This is giving people enough information to then take it to their tax consultant so that they can get themselves the right kind of recommendation and information that comes from the professionals.
Excellent disclaimer. I agree with you. Yeah, it's got to be a group, because we are a group. We're just a bunch of people got together.
Certainly.
Just got some information. We started sharing it, and then here we are.
Certainly.
I get 6, 7, 8, 10 calls a day, and there's all these interesting questions, and it makes me think. And generally, what I tell people is, well, this is what I think, but let's why don't you think about it too and get back with me if you have some better ideas? And people call me like you did.
Now, here's the situation. When I called you and you answered the phone, I said, I do realize that this is not the most optimal way you want conversation and information, but I think this is very pertinent to the call tomorrow. And you said, yes.
Yeah.
So we were okay.
Yeah.
But I'm being judicious on how often or when I make contact anyway. So.
Well, we're going to have. I haven't talked to Carol too much about it, but we're going to have these calls maybe more often once the RV happens, so we can have people on to discuss this, like a big roundhouse, once in 1 hour a week or something.
Sure.
Get everybody's
That'd be
idea.
great.
Those that are willing to share. Nobody has to, but if they're willing to share, we're willing to listen.
Right.
I get asked one question all the time, and I know Carol does too, is what do we take to the exchange? What do we do there? What do we say? Folks, we don't know. This has never been done before, but we have people that are giving us their opinions, and so we pass them along as we hear them. But again, it's just an opinion. I think that my opinion is we're really close. That's why John and I are pushing so hard to get the server thing done right away. So, anyway, that's just my opinion.
And I agree. I think anybody you talk to would probably agree with that. Mark, thank you so much for your contribution. We do appreciate it. As Jim said, we need this round table more or less. Yeah.
No problem, and because of what I've got going, I'm going to duck out, but I appreciate the call and the ability to just give some piece of information.
And we thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Judy, would you like to get started?
I would, Carol and Jim. That would be great. It's just hanging on to, going along with what you all just said, it does seem like from everything we hear that we're really close to the RV. Do you have any suggestions on how much more we need to be prepared?
Well, that's a really good question, and a lot of people are worried about this. What do I bring? What do I need to take? What do I need? Where do I start? So I think prepared here is the definitive word. The more prepared we are at exchange, I believe the more likely we are to have a pleasant and profitable experience. Now, I've read at the very minimum we will need to present 2 pieces of valid photo ID, which we just talked about. Probably a couple of recent utility bills showing your home address and something that shows your trust address if different, your abstract of trust and your EIN letter, as well as any banking information if you've already opened an account for your trust. You should have a tally sheet of the currency that you have. I don't think you will need to show your trust, but you might want to have it in a briefcase just in case. Above all, be courteous, be professional. Go in there knowing that, okay, I know as much about this as you do, so don't try and snow me, right? They're going to probably try to offer you a base rate, and from everything I've heard and read, you can ask for a contract rate or a screen rate. And I've heard that if you ask for it, they have to show it to you. So be prepared to do that if you want to get a higher rate. I've also heard that if you have receipts, you should have receipts for all your currencies, as well as any gift letters for currency given to you. Again, I doubt that you will need these at your exchange. Nobody's going to want to spend that time looking through a bunch of receipts that really are meaningless at that time. Again, if you're looking for higher rates, be sure to give a short description of any humanitarian projects you're considering funding. A bullet list or short executive summary should be sufficient. And like I said, nobody's going to have time to read through a lengthy business plan. But be able to talk about it. Don't just hand them a list and say, I want to do this project and here are the things that are important. Tell them, okay, I want to do this project because it's going to create jobs. It's going to reduce poverty. It's going to fix the infrastructure. Whatever it is, you only need a few lines to describe it. There are a number of perks and benefits that you can ask for. We do have a list on our website. A lot of those perks and benefits, you might not necessarily have a chance to talk to them on the day of your exchange, but certainly in any follow-up appointments with your wealth manager or your relationship manager. Be prepared to name a trust management company like Abbott Downing to assist you with managing your funds. What Jim and I do with Indicator Information is create trusts. We are not a trust management company. I've had people ask me that in the past. Or are you going to be able to manage all this? No. I'm going to have my own management company like Abbott Downing or something like that to help me manage all these funds. indicator that is not a trust management company, it's a trust creation company. So, Judy.
Well, Carol, now that we're talking about trust, I've heard a lot, especially lately, that if we have over $1 million, that we really must have a trust to put the money into. Can you highlight that?
Well, I've heard the same thing, and having a trust in hand does show that you're prepared. From what I've heard, and as Jim said, this is all new. We can only rely on the information that we've heard on websites or through other calls. If you do not have a trust, the bank may offer you a so-called skeleton trust, and you can get your own. While this may sound like a good idea initially, it is not. The downside of a skeleton trust is that the bank becomes your partner and is probably the initial trustee. It is not what you want. You want to be in charge of your own money. There have been rumors lately that only one trust will be acceptable at your exchange. I don't know how they come up with that, but whatever. We've recently become aware of someone in our land making claims that the only trust that you will be able to use for your exchange is a grantor revocable trust. In the past, we've made many comparisons between revocable and irrevocable trusts. The revocable trust that this particular person uses, and I've seen it, offers absolutely no asset protection or anonymity for you. This trust states that you still own the asset in your own name. In typical statutory revocable grantor trust, the grantor, you, can change your mind about what you have granted or given someone right up to your last breath. The IRS has a clawback clause, and a financial or business entity clawback may refer to a provision in a contract that allows money or benefits to be taken back if special circumstances arise. So the IRS may, in its infinite wisdom, decide that because you still had total control, the assets of that revocable trust may be part of your estate when you die, which is going to lead to probate issues and all that kind of stuff. This gentleman also thinks that his trust is the only one that has been validated for use at the time of exchange, and we do take exception to that remark. If someone can show us where and how to have our trust validated, we would happily do so. And as we mentioned earlier, and Jim mentioned, our trust has been validated by IRS expert witness as a valid legal entity in a case before the Ninth Circuit in 1983. And the Supreme Court upheld the decision of the Ninth Circuit. So we've been, as my husband used to say, we've been to the big dance. This gentleman also stated that the NSA and Homeland insist on total transparency and there's no hiding behind entities. Well, we totally concur. The privacy provided by our trust is privacy from the public. Our trust offers privacy, asset protection, and flexibility for generations. Obviously, when you go to the bank, they're going to know everything. They're going to know you. They're going to know the name of your trust. They're going to know your social. They're going to know the EIN. You're not trying to hide from them. You're only trying to be faceless in the public. And, we have no issue with exposing the original investor or exchanger with the banks and other business personnel. If you are more comfortable with providing more information to the bank than just your abstract of trust, you can provide the first page and the minute that it appoints you as executive trustee. That way you still have given them the entire trust because it is your private document. You've given them all the information that they can possibly need.
Excellent. Great information, Carol. So would you be kind enough to explain a little bit more about your trust?
Well, what we offer is a non-grantor, irrevocable common law contract trust. And for the sake of simplicity, we refer to it as a contract trust. Irrevocable means no one can tell you to terminate the trust to pay someone else. With an irrevocable contract trust, you give all right, title, and interest to the asset irrevocably. So it will never become part of your estate. There's no probate, no inheritance taxes. One of the most unique and I feel compelling differences is that with this contract trust, you get to be your own trustee. That boils down to a very important advantage. There is nobody between you and your money. No manager, no protector, no guardian, or anybody else telling you what you can and cannot do. According to the terms of this trust, the trustees may or may not do absolutely anything an ordinary adult person can do. So anything that's legal for you to do as an individual is legal to do as trustee. The contract trust is totally private and not required to be registered or filed in any state currently except Nevada. unless one is actively involved in a business, thus guaranteeing your privacy and anonymity. The contract, as Jim mentioned, the trust is actually a contract in trust format. And he also mentioned we are guaranteed the right to contract by the U.S. Constitution.
Excellent, excellent, Carol. So how do I go about it, or any of us go about setting up a contract trust?
Well, the first thing to do, and this sounds kind of simple, but there's a stumbling block for many. The first thing you should do is choose a name. And anything that sounds good to you is okay. But try for a strong-sounding name. Do not use your surname or sequential numbering. For example, my trust number 1, my trust number 2. That would indicate there's more than one. I often suggest the name of a favorite pet, something reflective of a hobby, etc. Do not name your trust the same as any existing business or name that is tied to you. So again, you're looking for the anonymity, not a name that people already associate with you. My husband often suggests, get out a map, point your finger. If it's a city or a street, it may be a good sounding name for a trust.
Yeah. Just as an aside, I use all my favorite flowers. My peony trust and my pansy trust, all those. So do I need to register the trust in my state?
Excuse me, no, the trust does not need to be registered unless it's operating a business, other than Nevada. We used to send people to Nevada all the time for their domicile, but then Nevada decided that they were going to start treating trusts like corporations and LLCs, requiring a copy of the trust, a registered agent, et cetera, et cetera. So that's now why we use Wyoming, which is very trust-friendly, as is Washington, and we can provide addresses for you for both states.
Oh, great. So, do I have to check to see if anyone else has registered that name that I want to pick?
Well, as there's no registration, there's no need to check the name.
Oh, great. Okay, so I live in a state that imposes a state income tax. Can I avoid this?
Yeah, one of the things I just mentioned, when we started not using Nevada, we are sending people now to Washington, Wyoming, or any of the other 5 states that do not impose a state income tax.
Carol, I need an EIN number for my trust?
Absolutely, you do, and we will obtain it for you. Let's go back to addresses for a moment. A lot of people have asked me, do I have to have an address other than, can I just have it sent to my home? Well, you're trying to establish the trust as a totally separate entity. You're trying to preserve your privacy and anonymity. So for, $10 a month, whatever the heck it is, go down to your local FedEx or mailboxes, etc., something, UPS store, get a street address. Mailboxes virtually, like I said, $10 a month. Any mail you have coming to the trust will then go to that address. Even if you're talking in a state, now let's say you live in Virginia, even though there is tax there, your trust may be domiciled in Washington or Wyoming.
Right.
But any business that you're doing locally, like with your bank, can go to a trust address other than your home.
Okay,
does that make sense?
Great. Yes, it does make sense. So, Carol, how long does it take to set the trust up once I pick the name?
Right now, we're typically looking at about a 4-day turnaround. Post-RV expect it to be a little longer. Recently, Jim has been experiencing some printer problems and some weather issues. So it's taken a little longer than that, but I think you're back on track now, right, Jim? Yep.
I muted myself as I was coughing. Yes, that's right.
Are you okay, or should we talk some more?
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. One of the things that we talked about at the very beginning was being prepared. And most of you who listen to these calls are aware that we also offer a triple play. And estate planning, good estate planning is more than just worrying about the money. It's you need to have a will, okay? What's going to happen? So if you die, so we have a pour-over will that states that anything that you own personally at the time of your death rolls into whichever trust you designate. We also have a power of attorney. If for any reason you cannot take care of your own business, whether you're in a coma or whether you're out of the country or out of state or whatever, you have legally appointed someone else to take care of that business for you. And also, very, very importantly, we include a health care directive. So let's say you are in a coma. You want your kids or your spouse or whomever to know what you want in any particular situation. If there's a chance that you're going to come out of that coma, yeah, you want all the help you can get. If there's a chance that you're never going to come out, pull the plug, so to speak. There's all kinds of scenarios for you to choose. I want this done. I do not want this done. It's a very good thing to have. I mean, there's three of these things combined with triple play kind of round out the estate planning. But another thing I was thinking about, actually, just last night, so you have all these things in place. What happens if you have something serious? Something serious happened to you. And many of us are older, and our children may not necessarily live in the same state. We obviously have friends or somebody that we visit with or talk to regularly. So you might want to think about a phone tree. So, for instance, if something happens to me, I've got two phone trees. I've got one for my granddaughter here in Oklahoma and one for my girlfriend in Washington. Because my girlfriend in Washington knows a lot of my contacts, knows a lot of my family, as does my granddaughter. So you have something like that in place. You don't want somebody coming and say, oh, my God, and not have any idea of who to call. I mean, you may have a good friend that you only email or you only talk to a couple times a year. Is your daughter who lives in another state going to know about that? So I mean, just
great idea, Carol. Awesome idea.
For preparation, yeah.
Excellent.
One more thing, preparation. I don't know. Jim seems to be offline. Maybe he's still coughing. So let's just open it up for Q&A again. And when Jim comes back, we'll talk to him.
I'm back. I just took a sip of water and went down the wrong tube. So at least I got my mic off in time. Anyway, I'm okay.
Okay, good. Well, you want to talk about something? Anything on your mind today?
Well, you hit most of the stuff. I just we're a little bit behind because we had some major malfunctions this week. They've all been rectified. New printer sitting here, and we're back online. Comcast had some issues. It was just a weird week, but that's behind me now. So we're back online, and we'll work through the weekend to get everything caught up.
And
great,
that's it?
Jim.
Yep, that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, we've got another wireless caller here. Let's see, area code 602. Is that you, Gary?
Yes, it is.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, Carol and Jim. How are you guys?
We're doing
Perfect.
okay. Is it still
I just
cold?
have a question. I'm sorry?
Is it still cold in Phoenix?
51 degrees.
Oh, that's better. I looked at it the other day. It was 37.
Yeah, that was the low. And I think today it's supposed to get up to 63 or 64 or something like that.
I'll take it. Anyway, what's on your mind?
I had a question regarding trusts, and the first when we RV, we're going to put our money in the Motherlode Trust, and then I think you suggested having a secondary bank trust that will be our lending arm or funding arm for any trust that we have after that. Is that correct?
Well, as we call it the first one, the Motherlode Trust, and Motherlode Trust is really what's going to be funding additional trusts. But in the diagram that we send out, and we call the secondary trust a BBTA, or bank. I can't even say it. Bank branch trust.
Right.
That's the one that you may want to purchase things with.
Correct. Now, the question I had regarding that, the clean and clear certificates, should they be on that first trust, the Motherlode Trust, or on the second trust, or does it matter?
I think they should be for wherever the money is coming from. So you've already got the money. Let's say you've already got the money in the BBTA, and that's
right.
what purchase things from. You're going to need the clean, clear certificates from that account as well.
Okay, because what I was thinking about doing when we RV, I'll set up my Motherlode Trust first, and then I want to set up a secondary trust, a Saturn, secondary trust, and then have money maybe transferred into that at that time, and then get the clean and clear certificates from that one.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, that's one of these. Some of those kind of questions are where your relationship manager or your trust manager is going to help you with.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah. Hey, area code 818. Is this James?
Hi, Carol. Good morning. It's Rose.
Good morning, Rose. How are you doing?
I am good. It's nice to hear again from you guys. So I have a question in regards to, it's a follow-up question in regards to the mother load. So right now we are not, okay, we already have our trust, but since there is no activity yet, no account, no money, so there is no need for us to file any income tax return in that
That is correct.
in the trust.
Unless the trust has earned more than $600, it has no tax filing requirements.
Okay. So when we have the exchange and then we already have deposited our exchange money into the mother load, and we wanted to have another trust, how are we going to fund the second trust? Are we going just to write a check and then just transfer the money to the second trust?
Well, I actually suggest you do not get checks for your motherload account or a debit card for that matter. You can transfer the money to, you can just, call your bank manager or your relationship manager and say, okay, I owe Carol X amount of dollars for a trust, and let them take care of it.
Oh, I see. So that is only if you have another secondary trust, and then you will ask your wealth manager to just transfer some money from the mother load to the second trust.
Yeah, exactly. So the mother load has all the money, and let's just say for the sake of number, your mother load has $10 million in it, and you want to put $5 million into a second trust. So the mother load is going to fund that second trust with the $5 million. So the bank will take care of the transfer. The bank will take care of the money, the transfer, but that's how it's going to work logistically.
Oh, I see. So it is the bank or the wealth manager who's going to do the transfer, not me writing a check to the second trust.
No. I suggest you do not have a checking account or even debit cards for that account.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Whatever money comes in out of that account, you need to call your banker or you need to see your banker. Do that personally.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Okay, I understand now, Carol, because that is also my how are we going to fund the second trust or the third trust if we will be buying some other assets? That's because since we are going to separate these assets from the mother load. So it is just, so what we need now is we have to use the banker or the wealth manager to do the necessary transfer from our mother load to whatever trust we have.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I had a second question, Carol, in regards to this domicile. Okay, is Florida also one of the states that we can use as a domicile wherein there is no tax?
Yes, Florida does not have a state tax.
Okay. If we have a residence in Florida, can we use not my residence, but maybe a sister's residence, can we use that as our domicile?
I wouldn't. I would still get a mailbox. Do you agree, Jim?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I agree. And you want that arm's length distance directly from that. So that's why we really push getting a business address, really, is what you're looking for. And then you send your letter to prove that you have a domicile there.
Okay, so it should be a street address. It's either Florida or Washington, but never Nevada.
I would not do Nevada, no. So Washington, Wyoming, Florida, Texas, South Dakota, Alaska. I think that's all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much because I'm already here in Nevada. I thought it will be very easy for me to do that, but since you don't recommend it, then I will not do that.
No, they're going to treat your trust like a corporation and want a resident agent and a copy of the trust and annual filing, and you don't need to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. You take care.
I want to add one more thing to that, Carol.
Sure.
Just a second. And I don't remember the mechanism they call it, but basically your motherlode trust, you do not want the tellers at the bank when you go in and do any banking see that. Your wealth manager will be able to separate that out. And when Carol said you want to go in and do that, that's exactly right. So your motherlode account will not have a debit card, a checking account, It will not have any visual reference to it on your website or your screen when you go to your bank, and the tellers will not even know that it's there. And you'll do all your banking through the wealth manager. You will tell him what checks, and he'll cut the checks and send them out for you, the whole 9 yards. And then when you want to create a trust, he'll do all. You create the trust, you bring him the EI number, and you bring the abstract. They create it, and then they move the money over. Would you agree with that, Carol?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you want to hide that.
Yeah. We're looking for privacy and anonymity here.
Yeah.
It's one of the good ways to protect yourself is nobody knows who you are. Well, I think we had. I'm sorry, Jim?
I said we try and hide in plain sight.
That's true. I totally agree. So I think we've had a very productive call today. We do appreciate all of your energies and joining in with us and asking questions and bringing suggestions to us like Mark did. And just as a reminder, our trusts are currently priced at $1,495. We accept all 4 major credit and debit cards and do offer a payment program. We also pay a $300 referral fee. So if you send us $1,500 client, we'll send you $300 or apply it toward your next trust. As you know, my name is Carol Werelius. My telephone number is 425-820-8090. My email is info, info, at indicator, INDICATOR, information.com. And I do truly appreciate all of you and hope that we're all going to have a really good week. Jim, would you like to close here?
Yeah, I would. Thank you very much. Okay, it was a great week. I think this next week's going to be good. We got a lot of things accomplished. My name is Jim Knox, Knox. I'm in Oregon, so West Coast time. My phone number is 503-583-6791. I prefer calls after 9 in the morning and not past 7 in the evening. I try and take all calls, but I'm really, really busy right now. We're going to set up this computer system, so if you have questions, you'll have a way now to get the questions right directly to us, and we can get back with you. It'll be that set up right away. So with that said, Carol, anything else we want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good. Judy, thank you so much for your help, as always. We're looking forward to some great stuff this week. So go RV and have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.